Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the methods involved in swapping out the hard disk in a MacBook Pro. So we'll put in a new drive and we'll clone the old setup to the new drive. I've put the new drive in an external USB caddy like this one here. This enables us to actually copy across everything from our old drive to the new drive, and then we'll do the physical swap as well. So let's run through what's involved in cloning the drives. So what we're going to do now is prepare our new drive and clone our old OS X setup to the new drive. So first thing we need to do is partition it. So pop into Disk Utility. There we go, find your new drive. Mine's there. Mine's already got a partition on called blank, but yours may be actually blank and not have any partitions on at all. Select partition. We're going to go for one partition. I'm going to call it New OS X. Make sure it's set on Mac OS Extended Journaled. Click on Options. Make sure you've got GUID partition table set. Click on OK and Apply, and then Partition, and it will go away and partition that drive. It doesn't take very long at all. There we go, it's finished. So now you can quit out of this utility. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use Carbon Copy Cloner to create our recovery partition and to clone our original OS X drive to our new one. So fire up Carbon Copy Cloner, there we go, and go to the window menu and select Disk Center. Okay, make sure you've got your new drive selected, so mine's New OS X. Pop to Recovery Hard Disk or HD and select Create a Recovery Partition for this volume. It'll ask to authenticate. There we go. Again, this one doesn't take very long to do. There we go, and it's finished. So click on OK. We can now exit out of the Disk Center. We're now going to use the Carbon Copy Cloner to actually clone our OS X partition to the new drive. Very simple to do. Select your source. The source we want is OS X, that's our boot volume, and we select our destination, which is our new drive, which is New OS X. One thing to watch out for here is sometimes I've seen with Carbon Copy Cloner, when you use the Disk Center, sometimes the drive that you've been working on doesn't appear here. If you get that, simply quit out of Carbon, restart it, and your drive will be there. So we're going to select the new destination, which is New OS X, and we're just going to click Clone. Click Continue, and that's now going to go off and clone our volume. It'll take a little while to run, so what we'll do is we'll leave it and come back to it when it's finished. And there we go, it's all done. So it's done about 60 gig, it's taken about half an hour. So the next step of course is putting the drive into the machine, getting it powered up, and then we'll take it from there. So we can close down Carbon Copy now, shut the machine down, and swap the drives around. So what we're going to do now is just take the back off, so we'll flip it over and take out all the screws. There's 10 screws in total, and watch out for the first 3 because they're longer than the others, so it's worth making a note of where you're taking the screws out from for when you're putting the unit back together. Like I say, some of them are a bit longer than the others. There's 3 longer ones, as you can see there. So let's get all the screws out and we'll pop the back off. So once you have all the screws out, pop the back off, and we're now ready to pop out the old SSD. So on the SSD here, there's a holding bar, so we need to undo the 2 screws holding down the locking bar. They don't come all the way out, so just undo them until they unlock, and then pop that bar off, keep it somewhere safe. And now what we're going to do is we're going to lift the drive out from its back edge, and it will pop out. There we go. So we just need to now unplug the SATA connector off the end, and there we go, the drive's out and we're ready to swap in the new unit. So we need to swap the holding screws from the old drive to the new. It's very easy to do. There's 4 of them. They're not usually in that tight. Just make sure that when you put them in the other drive that they're actually flush up to the surface. Like I say, they don't need to be that tight. And there we go. So once all the screws are in the new drive, we're now ready to pop it back into the laptop. Putting the drive back in is relatively straightforward. What we're going to do is just connect up the SATA 3 connector. There we go. And we're just going to push the locking pins into the holes there and then drop the drive into the bay, like so. So the next thing we need to do is just refit the locking bar. 2 screws, just tighten them up, doesn't need to be over tight, and that's our drive fitted back into the unit. So what we're going to do now is just put the back of the machine back on. Remember what I said about the 3 longer screws? Hopefully you've remembered which screw goes where. So let's get the back on and then we'll have a look at the machine once we power it up. And there we go. So let's flip it back up, let's get it plugged in, powered up, and we'll have a look at the difference that it's made. When you power the unit on for the first time, it's worth holding down the Alt key. The Alt key will give you a list of bootable volumes on your machine, so when you swap the drive out, sometimes it can end up spending time hunting around trying to find the right drive. Right, here we are on our new drive. We're freshly booted up, we're on the new system. Something that's worth checking, pop into your system preferences, have a look at your startup disk and make sure that the right startup disk is selected. If there's none selected, what it does is it hunts around trying to find the original drive that was in there, and it can slow up your boot up times. It's just worth double checking that. The other thing that's worth checking is your trim status. So if you pop into About This Mac, look at your more info, go to your system report, check under serial ATA, you'll see my drive there, the Samsung SSD, there we go. Check to make sure trim's still enabled. If it isn't, you can get that trim enabler application, which will do the patch to make sure it's enabled for you. Okay, on mine it's already done. So let's have a look at the performance. Well, let's fire up some applications. Let's go for Word maybe, Excel. It's pretty zippy. We can also run the benchmarks that we ran on the other one. So let's look at the Blackmagic disk speed test first. There we go. I'm going to select the right drive, so we'll throw it on the desktop. There we go, and we'll start the speed test. As you can see, it's rightly impressive. We're getting over 330 meg write speeds, over 500 read. It's a bit of a jump up for the M4, but not massively so, I guess. Let's also have a look at the Xbench stats as well. Let's let that run. Right, you can see in there that there's quite a significant performance index increase showing for this new Samsung drive over the previous Crucial M4. Let's also fire up Windows as well, and we can have a look at that. So I'm going to run my Parallels machine. It's suspended at the moment, so we'll resume it. There we go. I've already run the performance index, or the Windows experience index, or whatever it's called. You can see that it's averaging a 6.5 there, dragged down by graphics, and the disk data transfer rate is pretty high, 8.5. So again, you know, if we fire up some apps in here, you'll see how fast it is. Can't really argue with that, can you? Again, suspending the machine again is you know, it's brilliantly fast, so we'll suspend that. There we go. So we've managed to upgrade the drive, transfer all the operating system across, and kept all of our settings and features and functions and all that sort of stuff. What I'm going to do is just change that name back to what it was, and we're done. Anyway, I hope that you found that useful.